Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video we will be looking into this blog post from the React.js team highlighting that React compiler went into beta release. So let's read about it. The React team is excited to share new updates. We have publishing React compiler beta today so that early adopters and library maintainers can try it and provide feedback. We are officially supporting React compiler for apps on React 17 Plus through an optional React compiler runtime package. We are opening up public membership of the React compiler working group to prepare the community for gradual adoption of the compiler. At ReactConf 2024, we announced the experimental release of React compiler, a build-time tool that optimizes your React app through automatic memoization. You can find an introduction to React compiler here. Since the first release, we have fixed numerous bugs reported by the React communities, received several high-quality bug fixes, and contributions to the compiler made the compiler more resilient to the broad diversity of JavaScript pattern, and have continued to roll out the compiler more widely at Meta. In this post, we want to share what next for React compiler. Try React compiler beta today. At React India 2024, we shared an update on React compiler. Today we are excited to announce a new beta release of React compiler and ESLint plugin. New betas are published to npm using the @beta tag. To install React compiler beta, just run this particular command, or if you are using Yarn, run this particular command. You can watch Satya Gunusekaran's talk at React India here. We recommend everyone using the React compiler linter today. React compiler's ESLint plugin helps developer proactively identify and correct rules of React violations. We strongly recommend everyone using the linter today. The linter does not require that you have the compiler installed, so that you can use it independently even if you are not ready to try out the compiler. To install the linter, only just run this particular command, or if you are using Yarn, after installation you can enable the linter by adding it to your ESLint config. Using the linter helps identify rules of React breakages, making it easier to adopt the compiler when it's fully released. Backwards compatible React compiler produces code that depends on runtime APIs added in React 19, but we have since added support for the compiler to also work with React 17 and 18. If you are not on React 19 yet, in the beta release you can try out React compiler by specifying a minimum target in your compiler config and adding React compiler runtime as a dependency. Using React compiler in libraries, our initial release was focused on identifying major issues with using the compiler in applications. We have gotten great feedback and have substantially improved the compiler since then. We are now ready for broad feedback from the community and for library authors to try out the compiler to improve performance and the developer experience of maintaining your library. React compiler can also be used to compile libraries because React compiler needs to run on the original source code prior to any code transformation. It's not possible for an application's build pipeline to compile the libraries they use. Hence, our recommendation is for library maintainers to independently compile and test their libraries with the compiler and compile code to npm. Because your code is pre-compiled, users of your library will not need to have the compiler enabled in order to benefit from the automatic memoization applied to your library. If your library target apps not yet on React 19, specify a minimum target and add React compiler runtime as a direct dependency. The runtime package will use the correct implementation of APIs depending on the application's version and polyfill the missing APIs if necessary. You can find more docs on this here. Opening up React compiler working group to everyone. We previously announced the invite-only React compiler working group at ReactConf to provide feedback, ask questions, collaborate on the compiler's experimental release. From today, together with the beta release of React compiler, we are opening up working group membership to everyone. The goal of the React compiler working group is to prepare the ecosystem for a smooth, gradual adoption of React compiler by existing application and libraries. Please continue to file bug reports in the React repo, but please leave feedback, ask questions, or share ideas in the working group discussion forum. The core team will also use the discussion report to share our research findings. As the stable release gets closer, any important information will also be posted on this forum. React compiler at Meta. At ReactConf, we shared that our rollout of the compiler on Quest Store and Instagram were successful. Since then, we have deployed React compiler across several more major web apps at Meta, including Facebook and Threads. That means if you have used any of this app recently, you may have had your experience powered by the compiler. We were able to onboard these apps onto the compiler with few code changes required in a mono repo with more than 1 lakh React components. We have seen notable performance improvements across all these apps. As we have rolled out, we are continuing to see the results on the order of the wins we've shared previously at ReactConf. These apps have been already been heavily hand-tuned and optimized by Meta engineers and React experts over the years, so even improvements on the order of few percent are a huge win for us. We also expected developer productivity wins from React compiler. To measure this, we collaborated with our data science partners and Meta to conduct a thorough statistical analysis of the impact of manual memoization on productivity. Before rolling out the compiler at Meta, we discovered that only about 8% of React pull requests use manual memoization, and that this pull request took 30 to 46% longer to author. This confirmed our intuition that manual memoization introduces cognitive overhead, and we anticipate that React compiler will lead to more efficient code authoring and review. Notably, React compiler also ensures that all code is memoized by default, not just the, in our case, 8% where developers explicitly apply memoization. Roadmap to stable. This is not a final roadmap and is subject to change. We intend to ship a release candidate of the compiler in the near future following the beta release, when majority of the apps and libraries that follow the rules of React have been proven to work well with the compiler. After a period of final feedback from the community, we plan on a stable release for the compiler. The stable release will mark the beginning of a new foundation for React, and all apps and libraries will be strongly recommended to use compiler and ESLint plugin. Experimental released at ReactConf 2024 primarily for feedback from early adopters. Public beta available today for feedback from wider community. Release candidate. React compiler works for majority of rule following apps and libraries without issue. General feedback after final feedback from the period from the community. This release also includes compiler's ESLint plugin, which discovers diagnostics statistically analyzed by the compiler. We plan to combine the existing ESLint plugin, React hooks plugin, with the compiler's ESLint plugin, so only one plugin need to be installed. Post table, we plan to add more compiler optimization and improvements. This includes both continual improvements to automatic memoization and new optimization altogether, with minimal to no change of product code. Upgrading to each release of the compiler is aimed to be straightforward, and each upgrade will continue to improve performance and add better handling of diverse JavaScript and React patterns. Throughout this process, we also plan to prototype an IDE extension for React. It is still very early in research, so we would expect to be able to share many of our findings with you in a future React Labs blog post. And these thanks to all these people for reviewing and editing this post, and thanks to all several contributors who have worked on this to make it happen. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.